Well, happy Mother's Day. Here's some more plant communication for you. You see how all these flowers are all pointing north. The sun's down south here. And so where they're growing, they're in full light. And they're letting me know that they prefer a little shade. And where I first found this growing, it was growing in well shaded area. And the flower opened more and it was brighter. And all the flowers are pointing one direction here. But when I give my mom one in a pot, she wanted everybody to see it when they drove in. The drive was on the south. And so she would go out there and turn the pot to make the flower point south. And so the flowers twisted all the way up. Every time a flower opened, it would point the other way. I let her know that she was torturing it. And just like that sunflower, it'll bend every day. It'll look for the sun, come up in the morning, and it'll fall across the sky and watch it go down. And then early in the morning, it'll track where it's coming back up, and it'll turn back around and watch for it to come up. Another way they'll talk, if they see they're not getting enough water, they might start throwing fruit off. This had about 30 fruit on it when it started, and during that dry period, it's thrown most of its fruit off. I don't see but 4 on it anymore. And so the best thing about plant communication is they will never lie to you. Not like little boys. I don't know if I have any little girls watch my channel, but all little boys will lie to you. And the reason we lie to you is because there's a famine in the land. And the way you would say that in Hebrew is, why they rove yards. A double B here. The second one read is a Y. Y-A-R-T-S. Old Norse for yard, out in the yard. And why they rove yards. And so yards is an old word for the garden too. But roving yards doesn't necessarily mean it's a famine. Sometimes I rove my yard when I'm looking for something wild to eat out there. But I've seen people rove my yard looking for drugs before that they throw out of their pocket when they was running from the police last night. But these guys here, they rove yards looking for little kids. These are child traffickers. And why they rove yards, wherever the second M reading is a Y, and wherever my crime ledgersome. A kid, backwards and forwards, the kid in covet here of yards. They out there looking in people's backyards and kidnapping. Why they cause referable in, what it could be called, why they cause, the reason for this referable in. And then the VA, turns into the TE or the DE. And referable in DEM, in them crime. And the plow, aller, and soar, and the IA reads a vav, a W. A WS was 2. And plow, aller, soar was 2. And then the N followed by the E reads as a bit, a V, and have. And plow, aller, soar was to have. And then backwards and forwards. To have on aid. To have on aid. On help at. And help at the accuse. The IC and the IA reads as a U. Accuse. And plow, aller, soar was to have on aid at accuse. Ift, and then backwards and forward. Ift the armor, the armor. AE is the ES is, if the armor is at. And if that woman is beautiful of countenance, that's the one we're looking for. To plow all her sore was to have on aid at accuse. If that woman's beautiful, she's accused. That's the one. Accuse if armor is at. Why the sight? Backwards the VA turns into the TE. The sight her. And it come to pass when I cite, SITE. And so this is Y is in WHY. I pronounce the other word Y that means how or who, but this is WHY as in the reason for. And why the sight, the citer, irate. The vowel followed by the A turns us into a DE or a TE. And why the citer irate? That's what we do. We sit back and watch the women and we rate them as we look at them. She's a 10. She's a 9.5. She's a 3. And the citer irate. When see you. The citer irate. I rate it. E.T. I rate it Kemet's rim. And Kemet is the ancient word for Egypt. Kemet's. The Kemet's rim, out on the outskirts, up on the edge of the river, the rim. And Kemet's rim, and then again, DEM, them. And then again, with the VA turns into the DE. And the test, the TEST, and the test was WZ was at. And the was at, zat is zat between your legs, what we're looking for. And the cider I rate it, the Kemet's rim, them our test was at. And a verge, to come together. And then the VA again, turning into the DE. And verge, a tit, the VA ring is the TE again. A tit attack. And verge the tit attack itched it. The vowel followed by the A again, reading as a T. Itched it. I got the itching for some titties. And verge the tit attack itched it. And more, and love. That's the word for love all around Europe. And more, and then the I, backwards, A, reading as a U. And love when. And then the double A, the first one reads as a I, a J. And when the more, when jacked and stole. It's not say, please, my sister. No. It's just snatch her up and run with her. And more when jacked. And the reason I figured out, that the AA, the first one reads I caught it in the Egyptian. But what really made me catch it here is I already knew if I wanted to put an IA up, I couldn't do it with an IA because this would turn into a VAV, a U, a W. So that's what helped me catch on that the double A read the same as the Egyptian. The first one reads as the Y. And no more when jacked what? IA, when jacked what? And stole your sister. And L. And to many. And itch. The ITH. This is the Hebrew word for planted. And too many it planted. The B and then backwards, ILI, a billy, and planted a billy in of work, white, WHITE, the white in fish. Fish is a word for pussy. My dad said, when he was younger and he smelled fish, he wanted to go chase girls, but when he got older and he smelled pussy, he wanted to go fishing. And, the white and fishy angelic. The second one reads as I-K. Angelic. And she was a white and pussy angelic. A white and fishy angelic. This is why the Christians have that Jesus fish. That doesn't represent Jesus. That represents the mother of life, Marie. They'll call it, though, itchy fish. The itchy, to plant. X marks the spot. And it's the same word. You'll see it in the Hebrew and the Greek. The yeses. Yeses means love. They'll hide it here with this A-E, Ash, the ancient god of Ash. And yes, by of in at, and love Jacob, Rachel, and yes, by of in. And they'll try to give the base word of this, Ahab, the Arab, but you see, it's always, a Y-E-S, the yesin. If she's yesin, she's liking it. And so everybody used to get it, but they all got the fish turned the wrong way. But this is an itchy fish, this is why little boys go to church. This is what's on our mind while we're telling you those lies. A more when jacked, what to many itch Billy, in of work, white and fishy, angelic. And why they covet, the Vav A turning into the D-E again, and why they covet have her my crime. My crime is I want many women, and why they covet have her my crime, whereof the mixery. A mixery is a big old party with a whole bunch of screwing going on. Whereof the mixery mate, M-A-T, and then backwards and forward. And whereof the mixery mates is as a key, E-K-I, a key, as here. And then backwards and forwards, the pipe. P-I-P-E, the pipe, and then the double E is a I, and the V-A is the T-E, and the pipet, E-M, the pipet them at. And where at, you see the Vav followed by the A now, it changes this word up, and they always do this, they never repeat words, they always change them up. And where at it is reprove, and yell it. Second L reading as an I, and the Vav followed by the A again, is the T. And they yell it, Edda. The Edda lets you know that that's Nu's wife. She's a noon Edda. And the heck comes the heck et. The Edda is the feminine. And where at it is reprove. To reprimand or censor. And yell it at all whore prove. What fuck has of it prove? She's getting reprimanded. And where at it is reprove. Where is reprimanded? And yell it at all whore prove. What fuck has, and was taken and took that, and what fuck has of it prove? You got to prove yourself. And then the L followed by the A is the N, and whenever me itch of a job, the itch to plant. And whenever I get the itch for some itchy fish, and whenever me itch of, and the double B, is the job, a job where, why, they, and backwards, will, what's on, and backwards. The reckon of four. You got to know what you're getting into, what you reckoning for, kid. And the job where, why they will what's on reckon of four. And then, you fixing to get it donkey style. And the donkey style means much more. Which more'em. You keep on loading it up on that mule, he could take it. Which more'em and woved'em, and many in this gang bang. Which more'em woved'em a sepit. The maid servants. You've seen this word come up before above. I showed that last movie, and they give it another meaning. From sepit, they give it the families. And which more'em woved'em a sepit. Detent. D-E-T-N-T. Detent and come to him. Detent, to catch in a machine which prevents motion until released. You're chained down. You're chained down and getting gang bang. Which more'em woved'em accept detent and come to 'em. And this looks like a good place to stop, like the end of this paragraph. And I'll put this next 4 lines in a short movie. I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.